Now, tonight, we are witnessing a White House in full crisis mode. They are panicking in the West Wing tonight. Biden visibly shaken after the appointment of a special counsel to investigate the classified top-secret Obama-era documents that recently, quote, turned up at 3 now separate unsecured locations. That includes Joe Biden's garage in Delaware next to his vintage Corvette. But don't worry, the garage was locked. Well, at least most of the time. Take a look. There's the garage right there. Anyway, the scandal gets worse by the day. Now, coming up, we'll take you through a shocking timeline that is very damning for both Joe Biden and the Department of Justice. His Department of Justice will follow the money all the way back to China and also back again. And we have a special report, breaking news just about 10 minutes ago from John Solomon. Also tonight, the great one, Mark Levin, he will weigh in on all of this. Geraldo will be in the Hannity hot seat tonight to offer his defense of his good friend Joe Biden. Well, frankly, there is no defense. Former Intel chairman, also Devin Nunes. He will join us tonight with reaction to what was released today, the latest batch of Twitter files that directly involves the former chairman and Adam Schiff and everybody in between. And it will prove that we were vindicated on all of our reporting as it relates to the Russia hoax. But let's begin tonight in Wilmington, Delaware, at Joe Biden's longtime private residence. Now, for more than 2 decades, Joe, Jill, even Hunter have called this house a home. But as it turns out, Biden's mansion also was housing numerous classified top-secret documents from his time as vice president that he apparently stole from the Obama White House when he left in early 2017. Now, the documents were recently located in Biden's personal library, even his garage. Again, take a look at the picture. Wide open. He said, well, the door was locked. Not all the time, apparently. Said that in a 2020 campaign video. Now, presumably, the documents were located in those cardboard boxes, pictured right there. But according to Joe Biden, it's not a big deal because people know he takes classified materials seriously. Really? Take a look.
Classified material next to your Corvette? What were you thinking?
Let me, I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage, okay? So it's not like you're sitting out in the street.
So
but at any rate,
was in a locked garage?
Yes, as well as my Corvette. But as I said earlier this week, people know I take classified documents and classified material seriously.
Okay, that's laughable. People that take classified material seriously, they don't stash secret documents in a garage for years. A private garage that has been accessed by, one guy named Hunter Biden and God knows who else. Now, during Joe Biden's 4 years as a private citizen and then during his many visits as president, we have no idea at this time who entered that house. There are no visitor logs, no security logs, nothing. They've been hiding that for 2 years from the American people since he's been president. According to a visibly nervous Karine Jean-Pierre, the Biden White House is the most transparent administration in history. I think not, but that's their claim. Take a look.
When will the White House release a log of visitors to the Wilmington house?
You know, Peter, you've asked this question, or your colleagues have asked this question before. Let's not forget what we did here in this White House. We instituted something that the last administration got rid of, which is putting out the White House, making sure that there was a White House log, extensive White House log, so the American people got to see.
House where there is potentially unsecured classified material.
Again, I am telling you, we did something that the last administration got rid of, which is instituting the White House logs. Did you ask the last administration why they got rid of the White House logs?
Okay,
let's go. Let's go. Well, did Fox did? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
We have the records from the Delaware residents.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was calling the gentleman who wanted to ask a question that was not related to this. Go ahead.
That's not true, because 40% of his time as president has been outside of the White House, and they have never released any of the visitor logs. Now, the Biden White House cares so much about transparency, they attempted to hide this classified document scandal now for months, and for a while, Biden's DOJ, that's right, his DOJ, from the executive branch, his executive branch, were more than happy to oblige. Let's take a look at this timeline. Let's start last August, after President Trump invited federal officials to his home to review presidential documents. They went in the very room where they later found documents during a raid. They had it that day. They could have taken it with them that day. They called and said, would you put a padlock on the room that we went into where these, quote, documents existed? That request was granted. They put a padlock on it. The FBI then, instead of just knocking on the door and saying, can we go back in the room? No, they raided Mar-a-Lago. They seized the documents by force. They had unfettered access previously in that room. No need for that. In September, Biden berated former President Trump, called him irresponsible on 60 Minutes. Then November 2nd, 6 days before the all-important midterms, a trove of top-secret classified documents. They were found in Biden's private office, and the DOJ was notified then. There was no subsequent raid at Biden's private offices or home, and Biden and Garland and Biden's DOJ said nothing to you, the American people, information you should have had before the election. 2 weeks later, November 18th, Merrick Garland appoints a special counsel to only investigate Donald Trump, not Joe Biden. It wasn't until today that Garland appointed a special counsel to investigate Biden. Now, the White House continues to claim that the president had no idea classified documents were housed in multiple unsecured locations. By the way, Donald Trump, as we pointed out yesterday, he had every right to declassify. There's no set process. There's no legal process or means that he has to follow. That is not something a vice president has. As Jonathan Turley points out, the claim is probably a bold-faced lie. At least some of those documents were moved multiple times. So we'll find out in time. That's because the UPenn Biden Center, where much of the materials, quote, turned up, didn't open their doors until 2018. So that means over a year after Biden left the Obama White House. So where were the documents stored before then, and who moved them around, and who might have saw them? Now, speaking of which, the UPenn Political Center, named after Joe Biden, was probably one of the worst places on earth to store a top-secret document. According to these new reports tonight from John Solomon, the University of Pennsylvania, get this, pay very close attention to the money. They collected a whopping $67 million between 2013 and 2019 from a vast majority of that money, nearly $50 million, $47.7 million, flowed in during Biden's lucrative reign at the UPenn Biden Center. And get this, in a 2016 email uncovered on the very real laptop of Hunter Biden, Hunter's agent references the creation of the UPenn Center while also discussing Hunter's plans for wealth creation. Now, keep in mind, Hunter's laptop also revealed a plan for the Bidens to share office space at the UPenn Biden Center with individuals from the Chinese Communist Party. In one email, there was even a request to get keys made for these Chinese nationals. Now, remember, just prior to this, Hunter was raking in millions and millions of dollars from Chinese foreign nationals, including proceeds from the multi-billion-dollar deal inked with the Bank of China 10 days after Hunter joined his father, the vice president, on that trip to Beijing on Air Force Two. And, of course, another massive deal with the Chinese energy conglomerate. Don't forget the $5 million no-interest forgivable loan. Don't forget the $100,000 Chinese national shopping spree. If all of this isn't damning enough, in February of 2022, after getting millions in donations from China, the University of Pennsylvania successfully lobbied the Biden Justice Department to end a counter-espionage program against Beijing's growing influence over academia. A.G. Garland ended the program in February of 2022. Keep in mind, China is our country, America's #1 geopolitical foe. And now the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, he is tonight calling for deeper investigations into Biden's special relationship with China. Take a look.
They encourage the Pennsylvania, where his Biden Center is, where all the Chinese money goes to fund all these Biden initiatives. They encourage the FBI to drop that China initiative investigation. What else are they influencing this administration to do? What else is China influencing this administration and the Biden family? I mean, this is very concerning. So we're sending a letter to Penn requesting documents related to the Chinese donations. We want a list of individuals involved, whoever was involved in soliciting donations from China. We want all communications.
All right, so the fact that top secret, classified, compartmented documents were discovered in the UPenn Biden Center is more than a little strange. The fact that Hunter Biden could have easily accessed all of those documents is more than a little concerning. And the fact that we have no idea how many classified documents remain in Biden's house, garage, office is beyond troubling, to say the least. The fact that China, Russia, Ukraine, and a multitude of other countries paid Hunter and the family syndicate millions without any experience is beyond anybody's imagination. And by the way, we need answers, because it was Joe Biden himself. I never once talked to Hunter about my foreign business dealings. Merrick Garland, Chris Wray, there's really only one way to know if all the classified material has been turned over to you. And you know what it is, don't you? I'll give you a hint. You had no problem doing this at Mar-a-Lago. Now, if this is really a serious investigation, it is time for all of Biden's private properties to be raided. Probably tomorrow morning would be a good time, and searched. Otherwise, our two-tiered system of justice will have reared its ugly head yet again. And the investigations by Jordan and Comer now take on massive new urgency.